Hari Om and Namaste. Welcome to Standard 7, Chapter number 2, India before the times of Shivaji Maharaj. Aim: to learn about the impact of different rulers on the social life of Maharashtra in the period before Shivaji Maharaj. Introduction. Earlier, we have gained the information of ancient Indian empires Maurya, Gupta, and Vardhan. These powers ruled entire India and major territories of India. Therefore, they are known as empires. After King Harshvardhan's empires coming to an end in the 7th century, no other empire came into existence in India. During the period from 8th to 13th century, many different regional kingdoms like the Palas, Rajputs, Cholas, Rashtrakutas, Shilahas and Yadav was rose to power in India. Rise of different powers. The Palas dynasty rose to power in Bengal during the 8th century. Gopal was the founder of this dynasty. Major part of Bengal, Bihar, Orissa and Assam were under the power of the Pal dynasty. Gurjar Pratihar dynasty rose to power in central India near Ujjain during the middle of 7th century. Avanti was its capital. In Andhra, Kalinga, Vidarbha, West Kathiawar, Kannauj, Gujarat, the expansion of Gurjar Pratihar dynasty took place. Many Rajput kingdoms emerged in the northern and central parts of India. During this period, among them the Gadwals, the Parmars of Malwa and the Chauhans of Ajmer were the prominent ones. Prithviraj Chauhan III among the Rajputs belonging to the Chauhan dynasty was a very valiant king. Prithviraj Chauhan defeated Muhammad Ghori in 1191 in the first battle of the Tarai. After this, Muhammad Ghori with all his might once again invaded India. Muhammad Ghori defeated Prithviraj Chauhan in the second battle of Tarai in 1192. Hoysal dynasty rose to power in the 10th century in Karnataka. From this dynasty, King Vishnuvardhan brought the whole of Karnataka under his dominance. Chola of the South India, Tamil Nadu, was an important dynasty. Vijayalaya founded the Chola kingdom in the mid of 9th century. Raja the first and the Rajendra I were two eminent rulers of the Chola kingdom. Raja Raj the first, using his naval strength, conquered the Maldives island and Sri Lanka. Rajendra I took up the naval campaign against the Malaya kingdom king Shailendra. In the history of India, it is known as the first naval campaign of its kind. Rashtrakuta dynasty came into power in Maharashtra during the 8th century. Danti Durga was the first valiant king of this dynasty. During the reign of Govind III, the Rashtrakuta power spread from Kannauj up to Rameshwar. Krishna III conquered the region up to Allahabad. Kailash temple of Rashtrakuta era is one of the finest examples of carving architecture. Shilahars, Maharashtra's important dynasty, existed during the 9th century to 13th century. Shilahars' third dynasty rose to power in western Maharashtra. Shilahars of North Konkan, this dynasty ruled over the modern districts of Thane, Mumbai and Raigad. Shilahars of South Konkan, this dynasty ruled over the regions of Ratnagiri, Sindhudurga and Goa. Shilahars of western Maharashtra, this dynasty ruled over some parts of Kolhapur, Sangli, Satara and Belgaum district. Thane district's Ambarnath Lord Shiva temple is an example of Shilahar architecture. Maharashtra's Yadava dynasty before the period of Shivaji Maharaj was the last prosperous power. Yadava's dynasty king Bhilam V in the 12th century shifted his capital to Devgiri near Aurangabad to the south. Beyond the river Krishna, he expanded his power. Singhan, the second of the Yadavas dynasty, was the most capable ruler. He established his rule over Malwa, Karnataka, and almost the whole of Maharashtra. In 1294, Alauddin Khalji invaded Devgiri and defeated the ruler Ramchandra Dev. From then onwards, Yadava's power began to decline and finally came to an end. The Yadava period is considered to be the golden period of Marathi language and literature. In Maharashtra, Maha-Anubhav Panth and the Warkari movement emerged in this period. Maha-Anubhav's Panth, Mukundaraj, Vivek Sindhu and Sant Jnaneshwar's Bhavarth Dipika or Jnaneshwari were during this period. Himad Panthi architectural temples were built in the Yadava period. In this style of architecture, without using lime, the stones were fitted on each other by carving out the indents and notches on them. Invasions from the northwest. Though in Maharashtra, Rashtrakuta Yadava ruled, but in the north, invaders from the northwest conquered the local dynasties and established their own rule. In the meanwhile, the Arab power had emerged in the Middle East. Arabs from expanding their power turned their attention towards India. Muhammad bin Qasim, an Arab general, attacked the Sindh province in the 8th century. By defeating their local ruler Dahir had emerged in the Middle East. Arabs, for expanding their power, turned their attention towards India. Muhammad bin Qasim, an Arab general, attacked the Sindh province in the 8th century. By defeating the local ruler down here, he conquered the province of Sindh and Multan, but he never established his independent kingdom in India. Central Asia's Turks, Afghans, and Mughals came to India in the period that followed and established their power. Turks began to invade India from the 11th century CE. Expanding their territories, the Turk reached the northwest frontier of India. Ghazni's Sultan Mahmud invaded India almost 17 times. During these invasions, he plundered the temples at Mathura, Vrindavan, Kanauj, and Somnath and carried away enormous wealth with him. Sultanate in the north. Afghanistan's Ghor Sultan Muhammad Ghori invaded India between 1175 CE to 1178 CE. Qutbuddin Aibak was appointed to look after the governance of the conquered territories. After the death of Muhammad Ghori in 1206 CE, Aibak began to rule the Indian territories independently. He became the ruler of Delhi. Aibak originally was a slave, so his dynasty came to be known as the Slave Dynasty. Iltutmish, Razia, and Balban were some important rulers of the Slave Dynasty. Razia was the first and only woman ruler who ascended the throne of Delhi. Sindh, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and Bengal were under the rule of the Sultanate during this period. After Slave Dynasty, the Khalji dynasty came to power. Alauddin Khalji of the Khaljis dynasty transformed the power of the Delhi Sultanate into an empire. He extended his power up to the south. After Khaljis, the Tughlaq came to power, Tughlaq's dynasty. Muhammad bin Tughlaq did different experiments in governance, but due to lack of practical skills, they proved unsuccessful. For example, shifting of the capital from Delhi to Devgiri, bringing copper coins in circulation, invading China by crossing the Himalayas. After Tughlaq dynasty, for some period of time, the Sayyid ruled over Delhi. Ibrahim Lodi ruled over Delhi. Ibrahim Lodi of this dynasty was the last Sultan. Because of his peculiar temperament, he made many enemies. Punjab's governor, Daulat Khan Lodi, invited the ruler of Kabul, Babur, to fight against Ibrahim Lodi. Babur in 1526 battle defeated Ibrahim Lodi, and with this the 300 years old Sultanate came to an end. The Kingdom of Vijaynagar. During the Delhi Sultan Muhammad bin Tughlaq reign, the disintegration of the Sultanate began against Delhi's central power. In the south, there were many revolts, from which formidable Vijayanagar and Bahmani kingdoms arose. Harihar and Bukka from South India were brothers. Initially, they were at the service of the local rulers, but during one of the invasions of the Sultan, they were made captives and taken to Delhi. Thereafter, they joined the Sultan's service. As Sultan's representative, they were again sent to South. However, during the reign of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, taking advantage of the political instability in Mid-South, in 1336 CE, they founded an independent kingdom of Vijayanagar. Harihar was the first king of Vijayanagar. Hampi in today's Karnataka was its capital. Harihar was succeeded by his brother Buk. Buk brought the region up to Rameshwar under his control. Krishna Dev Raya. Krishna Dev Raya ascended the throne of Vijayanagar in 1509 CE. In the history of Vijayanagar kingdom, he was the most capable king. By defeating Odisha's king Gajapati, he conquered Vijayawada and Rajmahendri and annexed the regions to his kingdom. Bahmani Sultan Mahmud Shah, under whose leadership the Sultan armies had come, were defeated by him. During Krishna Dev Raya reign, the Vijayanagar kingdom extended in the east from Cuttack to west till Goa, and in the north from Raichur to South Indian Ocean. He died in 1530 CE. Krishna Dev Raya was a great fighter. Likewise, he was also a scholar too. Amukta Malya, a compendium on quality, he wrote in Telugu. He encouraged literature and art. During Krishna Dev Raya reign in Vijayanagar, the Hazar Ram temple and Vittal temple were built. The sculptures of these temples are beautiful. For the development of agriculture, he provided irrigation facilities. Krishna Dev Raya is described as a great and just ruler. With the death of Krishna Dev Raya, the Vijayanagar kingdom began to decline. The four Deccan Sultanate, namely the Adil Shahi, Nizam Shahi, Qutub Shahi and Barid Shahi, came together to battle against the Vijayanagar kingdom. Present-day Karnataka's Talikot, Vijayanagar King Ram Raya and the combined forces of the four Sultanate fought in the 1565 CE. In this battle, Ram Raya was killed and the Vijayanagar kingdom dominance came to an end. Recap. Pal in the 8th century was a famous dynasty in Bengal. Among the Rajput dynasty in North India, the Gadwal and the Parmar dynasties were the important ones. In the first war at Tarai, Prithviraj Chauhan had defeated Muhammad Ghuri, but Muhammad Ghuri defeated Prithviraj Chauhan in the second war at Tarai. Rajaraj I and the Rajendra I, belonging to the Chola dynasty in Tamil Nadu, were eminent rulers. King Vishnuvardhan, belonging to the Hoysal dynasty in Karnataka, had conquered the whole of Karnataka. The last prosperous power before the period of Shivaji Maharaj was that of the Yadavas. The Yadava period is considered to be the golden period of Marathi language and literature. Local dynasties like the Yadava and the Rashtrakuta ruled in Maharashtra, but invaders from the northwest conquered the local dynasty there and established their own rule. The Arab general Muhammad bin Qasim attacked the Sindh province in the 8th century and conquered the province of Sindh. That followed, Turks, Afghans and Mughals from Central Asia came to India and established their power here. Thank you.